This is the neighborhood of Robeti, and here you see behind me, these are the tombs of the shahids, as they call them here, the martyrs who have fallen fighting for the Hezbollah organization. And indeed, Ibrahim Akil is going to be buried here. His body will be carried across this neighborhood here in southern Lebanon that is completely controlled by Hezbollah. As you can see, people are assembling around me for this procession that is probably going to last an hour to an hour and a half. Things are very tense. You can tell that the security personnel of Hezbollah who's securing this area, there's also a perimeter outside of it that is controlled by the Lebanese army. Well, we spoke to one of the commanders earlier on who was saying, you know, security is very difficult and very tight, and we could very well be hit by an Israeli strike during this funeral. So, of course, there is maximum tension here. So, as I was saying, indeed, the body of Ibrahim Akil, who I would remind you as Hezbollah commander, who is considered to be number 2 or number 3, or at least very high ranking when it comes to the military branch of the organization, was killed in an airstrike 2 days ago during a covert meeting that was held under a building not very far from here, just a few hundred meters, a building that was a 9-story building that was completely flattened by 4 Israeli missiles fired by an F-15 fighter jet. And indeed, 45 people at this stage have been reported killed in this attack. We saw some responders still sifting through the rubble to try and find other survivors, standing by with ambulances still today, and of course families crying, hopeful that their loved ones might be found. Now, Ibrahim Akil, who is going to be buried here, was a senior figure in the Hezbollah, a person who was part of the organization since the 80s, who took part in the 1983 bombings against the US Embassy and also against the Marine barracks that killed over 300 American soldiers and personnel. That was back in the 80s. Then he went up through the ranks of the organization and was widely considered to be the replacement for Fuad Shukr, really at the head of the Radwan force of Hezbollah. Hezbollah, just to remind you, according to the CIA's latest figures, is considered by CIA to have 45,000 fighters and over 150,000 missiles. And indeed, today is an important day for them, indeed mourning this commander.